My first meeting with the MD was on my way to Belize in 1988. Alan steepled his fingers and said, "People say that Belize is the arsehole of the world. I've been there, and I can tell you it's not the arsehole. It's halfway up the colon." Gentlemen, from halfway up the colon, all I can do is quote the old Belizean saying.
Come on, man. Keep a shit coming.
Belize lies on the east coast of Central America, bounded to the north by Mexico, to the west by Guatemala, and to the south by Honduras. The total area, including the offshore islands, is nearly 9,000 square miles. That's just a little larger than Wales. The population is about 160,000, made up of Creoles, Mayan, Spanish and Caribs, all heavily intermixed. Belmopan, the capital, was created from nothing after Hurricane Hattie demolished Belize City in 1961. Belize City is still the biggest centre of population, with around 60,000 inhabitants. It's mostly Creole, with only a few Mayan and Garifuna. It's a city of colour, wooden houses on stilts, toilets overhanging the canals, which makes them virtually open sewers running through the city. Yes, Belize City's got a characteristic smell about it. Belizeans work hard, and they also love to dance. Belize is 174 miles from north to south and 68 miles across, with a subtropical climate and a mean average temperature of 79 degrees Fahrenheit. Scenically, it ranges from palm-fringed islands on the reef, the largest barrier reef in the Northern Hemisphere, and second only to the Great Australian Barrier Reef, to hilly jungle with the highest mountain, Victoria Peak, at 3,800 feet in the heart of the Coxcomb Wildlife Jaguar Reserve. Outside of the towns of Belize City, Orange Walk and Corozal in the north, San Ignacio and Belmopan to the west, and Dangriga and Punta Gorda to the south, the population is very thinly spread, only around 80,000 people. By comparison, in neighbouring Salvador, a country of roughly the same size, they've got a population of 5 million. Most of Belize's tourists come to San Pedro and Ambergris Caye, the place that inspired Madonna. Belize has also got the first jaguar reserve in the world, a place that Sue Ellen and I have visited twice to try to get a glimpse of the biggest cat in the Americas, but to no avail. Wonderful bird life and the occasional footprint of a big cat, but no sightings. With the amount of rivers, lakes and canals inland and the quays on the reef, one way to get around is by boat, and most of the units, messes and the accompanied servicemen do end up buying one. 10 miles. There are two decent roads in Belize, the Northern Highway from Belize City to Corozal and then Mexico, and the Western Highway from Belize City to Belmopan, San Ignacio and eventually Guatemala. Once you leave these two roads, you're on the track with the occasional river to cross. These are called all-weather roads, but you need a certain amount of courage to drive them in the wet season. This is the dry season, by the way. They do have bridges, but they're pretty basic. In the dry season, the biggest problem is the dust. After a 2-hour drive, it's permeated everywhere, even with the windows closed. For most of the year, Belize is wet. From May to December, over 300 inches of rain fall on Belize. That's 10 times Britain's average. It turns the roads to mud quagmires, and four-wheel drive winches and mudboards become essential. And if that wasn't enough, from June to October is hurricane season. Belize had a big destructive hurricanes in 1931, 1961, and they're prophesying a big blow this year, 1991. In 1961, Hurricane Hattie had wind speeds of 130 miles an hour and wrecked much of Belize. After the rain, all the water lies on the clay surface and the rivers run brown with silt. This is our car park at Moho Key after a downpour. The car you can see is one of the two Ford Broncos owned by BFBS. This one, ordered in 1988, before I arrived, is only two-wheel drive, sadly, and is therefore not as flexible as our other 1987 Bronco. The stories of our house are fairly well known now, so this is a view from our balcony across to the only other house on the island next door, and then gradually moving round further east to the mangrove islands beyond, which are called the Hens and Chickens. And coming out of the marina is one of the ferry boats that take us from the island to the mainland. Going to work by boat has a certain charm. It's a 3-minute boat ride from the island to the mainland and then the car park. There's a boatman who brings a boat when requested, or we use our own, either leaving it at the jetty or Sue Ellen gives me a lift in. It's very pleasant, as you can see, when the weather's dry, not so much fun when it's pouring with rain. Once at the jetty, airport camp is only 10 miles away by road, and then coming home at night you have the certain joy whilst you're waiting for a boat of watch the pelicans feed while you wait for the ferryman. From one bird to another, when you see these birds, the magnificent frigate birds feeding, you're in the middle of a school of fish, from little snappers up to sailfish and tarpon weighing hundreds of pounds. In this case, a magnificent 25-pound tuna. Fishing isn't always for game fish. We fish for the pot, and whenever we see the frigate birds, we head for the feeding frenzy, end up with fresh mackerel on the barbecue. And there is, of course, another old-fashioned way to fish. Although they are big fish in the rivers, they're pretty wary, and normally a day's river fishing give you lots of half-pound jacks and snooks. This travelogue wouldn't be complete without a mention of the Mayans. Their temples cover this part of Central America. This one at Lamani is the highest Mayan structure at over 300 feet tall. But Tikal, just over the border in Guatemala, has to be one of the most impressive. So there you have a little taste of the country that is Belize, rich in flora and fauna, and one of the only virgin tracts of tropical rainforest left in the world, and some of the best diving anywhere, including snorkeling, of course. But now we ought to really get down to business, I suppose.